Welcome to Behind the Transformers. So I loved Transformers the first time I saw it in 1984 when the commercials came out, and then the cartoon. It's literally like crack for kids back then.
It is a world transformed, where things are not what they seem. It is the world of the Transformers. Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their wrath, will destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Transformers, robots and humanoids. Transformers, more than meets the eye. The Transformers from Marvel Comics.
Yeah, so this was everything in my childhood. This GI Joe, Mask, comic books. Basically, the toys kicked it off, and then my long love for comic books happened after that. And a couple of weeks ago, I was at a show, and um, Marvel Comics had a guy by the name of Buddy Ansky that was in charge of special projects. So he actually named almost all of the G1 Transformers, and when I spoke to him, he confirmed that there's only like a couple he didn't name, like Optimus Prime had his name already. Um, the super condensed version of Transformers is that Hasbro was in Japan. They saw all the Generation 1 Transformers there. They were created by Tokai that had different names, and they wanted to bring it to the United States and sell it under Hasbro. And they made a killing on it. And then the other thing was that previously there was a law that said that you couldn't have toys in a cartoon based on that toy because it was considered to be a 20-minute commercial with more commercials about that toy in it. So that law was done away with in the early 80s, and that gave way for GI Joe and Transformers, and the rest is basically history. And Hasbro was able to do 20-minute commercials plus another 10-minute worth of commercials in order to sell their toys, and they were very successful in doing so. So anyway, for the longest time, my Transformers were at home underneath my bed, and I didn't want to pick them up. Oh, here's the comic book this is the first Transformers comic book that I ever got, was number 17. This copy's been signed by a few people, including Alan Oppenheimer. He's the gentleman who did the voice for, let me see, Powerglide and Cosmos and Warpath and Beachcomber. He also did the voice of a little-known character called Skeletor, and probably 600 other voices that cartoons over the years, Alan Oppenheimer. And I had the Keith Williams signed it as well. He's the inker of this book. So, yeah, this was the first Transformers book I ever got. Subscription. So I actually got this as a subscription, and it showed up in basically a brown paper wrapper around the book. It was a miracle that it didn't show up, in pieces, but no subscription fold back then. I'm not that old. Back in the 60s, what they used to do was fold the comic books in half and then send it in the mail that way. That's why you see some subscription folds on many old comic books. Anyway, when I went home, this is basically what my toy collection. I loved all these toys very well, but it looks like crap. When they're all in the box, just like hanging out randomly, and that wasn't how I wanted it to be displayed or treated. So I got lucky, and I found a person on the internet that they did reproduced boxes, and then AFA, who actually does the grading, they provide these cases. So here's a shot of it. Transform inside this one is actually a G1 Transformer. The figure on the inside has become unglued, so we're going to try to fix that back up today. And by taking it out, I can show you all the components of the acrylic case, which was on the expensive side. I'll see if I can find how much they were, but I got this on eBay. So the bottom comes out, and then the box slides out. So I got Wheeljack first, and I believe I got Ratchet second, and then Bluestreak was third. So I didn't tape up any of these boxes, just in case I'd ever have to go back into it. And sometimes I still had the original booklet with it. Sometimes this is not original, I could tell, because it's not bent to hell, because I used to read them a lot. Some of these behind me do have the original ones in it. And then as I take it out here, it's weird, all the weapons are missing. I have to find the weapons eventually. So they are missing right now because I did have his weapons, or at least some of his weapons. So I'll have to find that. I do have a booklet though, which is cool. So I taped this on here, the figure, and of course, the tape's going to come off, and I think I've decided that I'm going to glue the plastic insert onto the slick cardboard surface. So for me, it's the delicate balance of gluing too much and too little, because I'm going to want to do too little, but then I also don't want it to pop off the card again. And as the older they get, the more fragile the plastic gets. So I don't see myself transforming Bluestreak anytime soon. But he can be transformed. I've done it. This is at least 1,000 times. All the joints are very tight on all the toys that I had originally gotten. I did a lot of trading when I was a kid. Omega Supreme, who's behind me, that needs some repairs. I traded for a couple others over the years. So I don't think the guy who does these boxes does them anymore. He was on eBay, and I got to tell you, the only thing that I could tell that these were reproduced boxes was the fact that they're so new looking. Besides that, they're spot on accurate, and they're really nice boxes. I want to say they were $20 each, which is a pretty good price for these. Considering, I think they were probably all printed in China or something and shipped to the United States. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue the plastic thing back onto the cardboard, and then hopefully I'll be able to find his weapons somewhere. Like I said, I've had to move this from a couple different storage units over the years, so and it's moved a lot. Let's just put it that way. If you want a closer look at that, Takara really did some nice work. I think he was called Blue Streak because of how fast he was, and not the fact that he was blue, which I think really confused a whole lot of people. But still, it's a Z. Got your Transformer or your Autobot logo up on the front. It's just a really cool toy to have growing up. Yep, My Fair Lady Z on the back of it. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite ones. And the good news is when I glue this on here, the more uneven it is, the more realistic it'll look. 'Cause when we bought these as kids, they were not glued on straight, if memory serves me correctly. They were always off by a little bit, but they got ripped out of the boxes pretty quickly. So, but I think it's nice I'm able to take something that was crammed into a container like this, where the figures in here. The only reason why they're loose is I couldn't find boxes yet for them. So as soon as I find, like, there's Ironhide in there, and Ratchet, and Blaster that I really want to find some boxes for, and Rodimus, and cool. So what I'll do is I'll just put some weight on here, and that will go back into the box and back onto the shelf again. It's nice to be able to look at this again. So it says Autobot, Bluestreak. Oh, Budyansky also wrote all of these as well for all the Generation One Transformers. And I was joking with him at the show a few weeks ago that there wasn't a bad name in any of the G1 Transformers. I couldn't think of one. I mean, even the ones that would be considered boring, like even Brawn, they were great names. Um, Sorry, it says here, Function Gunner. I never met a Decepticon I didn't dislike. Blue Streak often talks unnecessarily and inanely, lightens the situation for all Autobots with his good-natured manner. Despite formidable weaponry and blazing speed, he hates war. Haunted by memory of Decepticons destroying his home city. Firebombs up to 8.3 miles, and lightning-like 8,000-volt beams up to 12 miles of limited accuracy, often inhibited by his disdain for combat. And then what was neat was in the back here, um, it was a secret on what kind of specs he had. So there was a red thing, and I have it in other boxes where you put it over and you could actually see. It'll cancel out the red on here so you could see what the endurance and speed was, not that you can tilt it sideways and look at it. And then on the back here, it also had these points that I used to clip and send away for stuff. Like I got a reproduction box for this, but I actually sent away for this. This was the camera reflector. Like I said, the box is reproduced. The original box that it was sent in was just plain white. The styrofoam inside is original. All the figures are original, and that's what you could use the points for, was to mail away for something cool like this. This was, I think, their most expensive points piece. All you had to do was send the points in. I think like $3.95 for shipping or something, and 6 to 9 weeks later you get it. So that's Blue Streak, and thanks everybody. Like and subscribe.